Hi everyone, this is Dan and the future holds crypto. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on the markets. We had a very interesting day to say the least. Um, you can see here that most of the market is down. Actually, now it looks much better than it did in the morning. I remember when I woke up, look out on the phone. I wasn't focusing right because I just woke up and I saw the prices like, oh no, is this real? And Unfortunately, it was. So let's talk a bit about the markets, the trend. In the previous video, I was talking about Cardano and the fact that it has very good fundamentals for having another rally, especially with the DEX launches, and why a DEX launch is very important. I also mentioned there that a premise for that to happen is for the trend not to be broken. And first of all, what gave happened on Friday? On Friday, something interesting happened. A lot of stocks had a crash, crypto style crash. Let's look at DocuSign. DocuSign had a crash only in one day at around 47%. And since uh, September, it dropped 58, 59%. That's a major thing for a stock. Um, let's look at PayPal. If you look at PayPal, you will see that a similar drop has happened since July, and we went down 41%, 42%. The last few days were critical from that perspective. Um, let's look at Visa, 25%. And the interesting fact is that basically these stocks, or most of them here, actually lost the entire 2021 gains in a few days. Let's look at MasterCard. 25%. Again, the entire year gains were lost. So you probably wonder why I'm talking about this. Some friend of mine asked me why are you interested in stuff like this in stocks when we are looking at crypto. A lot of people say that it's not correlated, but I think in crashes, big crashes, they are. And I don't think we had a bull market when the stocks were doing bad. So basically, when we have a big crash, usually crypto has a big crash. Now, let's look at S&P 500. S&P 500. I'm gonna show you something interesting here. If you disregard the blue fractal, basically we had a drop since a few days ago, started in on 22nd of November. It's only a 5.3% crash, so it's still not dramatic on S&P 500, but something I'm looking at, and let's look on weekly. Something I'm looking at is that, or thinking of, as you can see, some stocks on Friday have had a very big drop. S&P 500 is hadn't had such a dramatic drop, and other companies either. They did have price decrease, but not as dramatic. And some people think that this is over. Well, think about it. Stock market is not open 24/7 as crypto is. Some didn't have the chance to be so dramatic yet. So basically, on this Monday, it will be interesting, or the next week or next weeks would be very interesting to see what the S&P 500 does and the entire stock market, because Uh, you can see here this small drop here. This is how it started in March. It was just a small drop, and then the next following weeks, very big crash. 3 weeks of pain. Actually, 4 weeks of pain. I don't necessarily think will be this bad if it happens, but it's something to look at. Also, you probably are wondering why the stock market crashed. My take on it is that it's related to Jerome Powell's speech, and it's related to inflation. So basically, they had a very tough, or they have a tough job now because they have a big inflation, and also they have very low interest rates. They're still tapering, and if they increase the interest rates, the market will crash. What they said here is basically, no, the market is doing great, the economy is doing great, it's recovering, we can actually reduce tapering and increase interest rates. So you can see inflation has jumped to its highest level in 3 decades, and a new coronavirus variant, the Decepticon, threatens to keep the economy from returning to normal, potentially dragging out supply and demand mismatches. I think it's only a overreaction to the new variant. We had a few before. I think the market will uh, just stop caring at one point with every variant. But I think in this case, if you look at the news and what, yes, Omicron is easy to transmit, but it's not that um, but not strong in terms of deadly effect. So it's actually milder than the previous one. So basically, it's just I think it's kind of a narrative that was used, especially in this case. But we're gonna talk about this later. That could mean the ending the Fed's bond buying program sooner than expected. The central bank had been buying 120 billion in the government bond securities each month throughout much of the pandemic to bolster the economy by keeping money flowing in financial markets. In November, officials announced plans to slow those purchases by 50 billion a month, which could have the program ending midway through 2022. But Mr. Powell said central banks could wrap up more quickly, reducing the amount of economic juice the Fed is adding. At this point, the economy is very strong and inflationary pressure are high, he said. It is therefore appropriate, in my view, to consider wrapping up the taper of our asset purchases, which we actually announced at our November meeting, perhaps a few months sooner. Mr. Powell said that he expected Fed officials to discuss slowing bond purchases faster at our upcoming meeting, which is scheduled for December 14th and 15th. This is critical. These 2 days will be critical. He stressed that between now and then, policy makers will get a better sense of the new Omicron virus variant, a fresh labor market report, and updated inflation numbers. Keep this in mind. Updated inflation numbers. So, what happened, in my opinion? And I actually said this a couple of times. When the tapering is over, when the interest rates are increased, this could be potentially the end of the stock bull market, and that will drag down to crypto, the end of the crypto bull market. Um, they had to choose between inflation and the stock market. They just threw this out there, and they mentioned that no, the economy is doing well, it won't be affecting the economy. So apparently, I mean, probably they were wrong, because if you see here, even this pump over here, after they printed millions, trillions of dollars in a matter of months, this very big pump here is not necessarily because the economy is doing better. No, it was because of the all of the amount of money circulating in the market, the tapering and everything. So basically, it was not necessarily natural. So if they stop that, what was unnatural will stop. the fact is that the next few weeks will be very important. Um, I think that there's a good chance, and you can put your tinfoil hat on right now, that and then we're gonna dubious speculate on this. Let's make it some dubious speculation. Um, they had to fight with the inflation, which was, as mentioned in the article, highest level in 3 decades, right? So that was very hurtful for their political stance. I mean, their support level has dropped a lot because of this, especially for Biden and co. So, what usually happens when people get the money out of the assets and out of the stock market? Uh, it usually the value of the dollar increases because everybody's buying back the dollar, right? So as you can see here, they will have numbers by December 14th and 15th. They also use this Omicron variant as a scarecrow in tandem, in parallel with this scare with the reducing tapering and the interest rates. So basically, they scared the stock market off, and people will buy the dollar back if they look to have some better inflation numbers by December 14th and 15th. They will probably have it just because of this. So I think they're playing with fire here. I'm not sure what will happen. Nobody knows. Nobody saw this coming. Whatever they tell you, nobody saw this coming. Especially in timing. I thought that tapering will be over, or the interest rates will be increasing, but I thought in somewhere in 2022. So they're playing with fire because they might see a reaction from the market much worse than they expected, and they will probably have to print more than they want. So it will be interesting to see the following weeks what will happen, because as you can see here, if you see this point right here, this was just the beginning. It was just a small week, even smaller than this one, but then we had this. So this here might not necessarily be the end. Until now, and between now and December 14th and 15th, it will be interesting to see if we have different statements, if they get these inflation numbers that they need, so they can improve their approval rate in or if they will wait for that, depending on the market and what the market will do, because the market, as you can see here with the DocuSign and other stocks, already have dramatic downside. We will see if this is just the beginning of a bigger drop or not. And now let's talk a little bit about this fractal. This fractal is, I took off the 70s, the 70s chart, the fractal from S&P 500, from here to here, because I noticed some similarities. And you can see here we had like a double bottom here formation. This was as well, and the increase, or the bull market afterwards was quite similar, even if it's not the same. We had a pump here, correction here, bigger than this one, but still a pump here, a correction here, similar to this, and as you can see here, even at the top. So, well, these are fractals, by the way, bear in mind, it's not necessarily, it won't happen the same, just I noticed something, just wanted to show you this. What I believe, or hope actually, is that if this fractal will be repeated to some degree, probably even this won't be as dramatic as this, we don't know exactly, but hopefully we are about here when, yes, we did have a correction, but then we had a bigger um, a last move before this big drop, right? So hopefully we are here before the last move up. Basically, it's around February, and then the drop. Of course, again, this might not happen, might happen differently or different time frame. So we'll just have to look and see. Now let's look at crypto. Let's look at Bitcoin. We are talking about this trend, which was quite nicely held. And if this was repeating, basically the repeating formation, maybe we could have another one like this. At one point, I thought, or I saw that it might actually transform in like this part being parts of a bigger week of formation, like here. But this trend obviously has broken for now, because we don't know exactly how it will close tomorrow. We'll have to see. And even today, this is a weekly. Let's go to the daily. So it's important to see how the week closes, of course, and how the day closes here. The day is actually around 49 already, so the recovery is quite nice. Also keep in mind that in last time when the stock market crashed, it was a delay until crypto crashed. It wasn't very fast reaction. Now it's during the weekend, and what happens during the weekend? The weekend usually has very or has lower volume. So basically, you can manipulate prices easier than during the week. So if you wanted to liquidate all the leverage out, which is happening, is, I mean, it's record levels right now. Basically, we have first the long leverage were liquidated, and then I see now a lot of short liquidations, as you can see here. So this is the next step. So first of all, this was kind of a broken, or we'll have to wait for the weekly close at least. The EMA ribbon was also broken. If we have something like this, it will take a while for recovery, if it recovers, and we haven't entered the bear market yet. So basically, we do have the macro trend is still not broken, because as you can see here, this trend started from here to here. We still have another level of support. It will be interesting to see if that holds. Also, it's something another thing that is interesting is that, as you can see, this is actually a higher low than the previous low and the previous low. So basically, even this is still an uptrend. And from my perspective, what happens next week with the stock market in the following weeks, it's probably very crucial for crypto as well. So we are dependent on that. If it doesn't create a lower low than this is still an uptrend. This here is still an uptrend. So first of all, if this breaks, and if we go below 39,000, or actually 39,000, this probably is broken as well. So we'll have to see what happens next. But we also have this line that if it holds support around again 39, depending on where you look, it's still okay. And also something I was looking at, I like to do this, like reverts when the trend started to the top. We can see something here. This basically wicked almost from the beginning, but it did have some way to go, a little bit. The body of the candle is still below, or is below 0.702 Fibonacci, and the next one, the 0.786. So if the body of the candle is remaining upwards, basically it means that this was rejected, and this is a very important line. This is basically looking at the chart kind of invert. You can also do this. So basically, if you look here, this got rejected. So yeah, the wick is much bigger. The body candle here is still below that, but we'll see in the next couple of days. However, another thing that I wanted to show you, because when you do this, you basically begin at where the upward trend began, and where the top was, the local top. So the actual upward trend began here, because this was clearly a downtrend for a while. So the upward trend began here. So if we look here, we got rejected with a wick exactly or very close to the for a 0.72 fib retracement. So, and also we went through with the wick in the golden pocket. So basically, for the moment, the trend has not broken yet. I'm not sure what will happen next in terms of when we recover, depending on how the week ends, how the daily ends. If we continue with a couple of candles lower, if the stock market goes lower, and if the big trend is not invalidated and we are not entering a bear market, it will probably take a while for us to recover from here. So that's it from Bitcoin. If we look at ADA, for example, that's still a higher low. The trend here the macro trend was not broken yet. So we'll have to keep a watch on this too, but of course it's depending on the others. The Bitcoin is dependent, or crypto in general is dependent on the stock market from my perspective. So another thing that I wanted to show you, if we look at the DXY, we'll see something interesting here. So as I can see here, we had a downtrend. So if we look at the waves, 1, 2, 3, biggest 1, 4, 5, clear downtrend. Then we restarted like an uptrend. If you 1, 2, 3, hopefully this is 3 because maybe it goes higher. But what I'm saying is if we go like this in 5, then we form an ABC. This will create a cup and handle, and we'll be continuing the upward trend. So why is this important? It's important because usually, not all the time, but usually when the DXY is going down, crypto has a better chance to go up. And if this is the fourth wave, we might have a chance for a move here, and this part here with crypto and stocks. So when is this? Basically, of course, this time can differ. We don't know exactly when, but it can happen until the end of January or something like that, depending on how it goes from here. So this will be interesting to see. Basically, whenever it goes down, this is why I put 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, because whenever it goes down, crypto has a chance to do some recovery. So this is something also to look at. And I think might be done with the charts. So what's important here is that by the way, Bloxenbacher said that Bitcoin fell to 42,000. For me, that says the Bitcoin bear market has reared its ugly head. Historically, the altcoin market has run during the retrace. That's now my focus. But I do believe the bear market has arrived, and other people think that as well. It is possible It is possible, and yes, when we had the dead cat bounce from for Bitcoin for us to explode, it happened a lot of times from this perspective. However, I have one concern here. If this is the start of the bear market, I'm not sure if the alts had an alt season when the general stock market was not healthy or going down. So if we have something like this, I don't think there will be the alt season here, where we'll have to wait until the rebounds, the stock start to rebound, and then Bitcoin starts to rebound, even if it's a dead cat bounce, and then we'll see it. So basically, it depends very much on what the stock market will do in the next couple of weeks. If I'm correct with the narrative of bringing the stock market down so they will have better numbers for the inflation, so their approval rate increases, we'll find that soon enough. But in terms of Bitcoin being in a bear market, it is very possible, but I wouldn't call that yet, because we don't know how the day closes, how the week closes, and basically what happens in the next couple of days. But it is possible, and the trend has not been broken yet, the macro trend, right? So yeah, we'll just have to see. From what I've learned in the past, it's not good for you to panic sell. In most cases, we do have dead cat bounces, and taking a decision when you're panicked never worked. So this is it for today. Thank you for watching the video. Take care, and stop looking at the charts from every 5 minutes. It won't help. But by the way, if you want to start accumulating, don't necessarily go all in. We don't know if this trend will continue, if it's the bear market or not, but I would suggest dollar cost averaging down, because you don't know if this is the bottom, or we'll have correction still. You can think about doing small bits, like when it's a big dip, you can buy an amount. If it's a bigger dip, you can try to double that amount, or more, to increase the amount you spend there, but not in one, because we don't know exactly if this is it or not. So basically, DCAing is the best strategy. So yeah, this is it from me. Thank you very much, guys, and have a great day.